Hi guys, this is my quick preview for the England against Wales game later today. Obviously, the Ireland against Italy game is postponed because of the outbreak of coronavirus just now. So, just going to talk about England against Wales. Sorry, this video is out a bit later, probably just going out before kickoff. First of all, before we get onto the game, rest in peace, Matthew J. Watkins sadly died at the age of 41 after a long illness. Thoughts are with his family at this very sad time. A very good player in his day, won 18 caps for Wales, very good centre. So yeah, very sad and really puts the game into perspective when that happens. And 41 is no age to go either. Died way too young. So thoughts with his family there. On to the game now. Here's how I think it's going to go. I think England are the favourites, no doubt. And after the Ireland game, they're looking good again at Twickenham. It'll be very tough for Wales as well. Wales, I think their game, you can see there's still the transition period from Gatland into Wayne Pivac, which I said 2 weeks ago. And again, I think we're going to see Wales looking a bit better and a bit more precise than they have been in the past two games under the Pivac regime. And I think they will execute things a bit better, but at the same time, the sort of brand of rugby they're trying to play is so different to Warren Gatland's style that you have to, again, it's just like, sort of, when you're playing that brand of rugby, you leave yourself more open to being caught out, i.e. with the odd intercept or getting turned over on the counter-attack. Defence is not always as efficient because your focus more is on using the ball, spreading it out. It's personally the brand of rugby I prefer to see, but in the modern game where defences are so good and defence is such a critical part of the game nowadays, it doesn't always work as well as I'm sure we'd all like it to work. But with regards to selection, England have brought back Anthony Watson and Mark Wilson into their team. Anthony Watson replaces Jonathan Joseph, who doesn't even make the bench. He's on the right wing. Johnny May moves back out to the left wing, where I think he's better. And Mark Wilson comes in for the injured Sam Underhill in the back row. And Tom Curry will move to 7, Mark Wilson at 8. I think that's a decent choice. Mark Wilson is definitely a first choice 8. Sad about Sam Underhill, obviously. That's a blow for England, and they stick with the 6-2 bench, which they have done for the past couple of games. I think that's more a Matt Proudfoot, the England forwards coach, influence there, after obviously South Africa did similarly at the World Cup with Proudfoot as their forwards coach. Now he's forwards coach of England. I think Eddie Jones is listening to his advice on that side of things there. With regards to Wales, they've made changes. They've gone for Josh Navidi back in at number 8. A bit surprised they've gone for him at 8 and Ross Moriarty at 6 still, considering Moriarty's a better number 8, and Navidi can play both 6 and 8 very well, so that's an interesting call there. Rob Evans comes back in at loosehead prop after being out for a wee while, not starting since before the World Cup actually, so he's back in for Wyn Jones. Elsewhere, Thomas Williams comes back in at 9, Gareth Davis drops out the squad altogether, with Rhys Webb coming in onto the bench as the replacement scrum half. Liam Williams is back fit. He replaces the injured Josh Adams as well. And I'm surprised George North is still playing after that bang he took a couple of weeks ago. But hey, if the medic says fit, he's fit. I just think there's a lot of health and safety concerns over him, with him picking up 6 bad concussions in his career so far. And it comes a point where you think, when is this about a young man's health and well-being going forward over getting the best players on the pitch? But again, that's just for another time. The areas I think are going to be key in this game, I think with the attention Dan Biggar's got in the past couple of weeks, I think referees are going to be a lot hot. The referee is going to be a lot hotter on him, and he's going to have to be a lot more careful with his behaviour, because what he was doing against France 2 weeks ago was absolutely unnecessary, and I had no time for it personally. And also, I think, as I said, with Wales, they're going to try and make sure their forward pack are giving them enough of a platform so they can spread the ball, but they've got to make sure they're sensible with that, and they've also got to make sure they're a lot more clinical, because against France a couple of weeks ago, they were not clinical at key times. Like when they were 17-9 down just before the break, if they had gone in just a point behind, that would have given France a huge dent going into the second half, but France held out just before half-time then, and that was a key moment in that game. So And again, key moments against Ireland where they weren't clinical, they weren't ruthless enough, they weren't making sure they were executing the basics properly. And that's sort of stuff that under Gatland, they think they'd be shot if they made those kind of mistakes. But under Pivac, it's because they're trying to play a slightly different game. They're leaving themselves open a bit more, and the concentration level isn't the same. I think that's just a natural part with different styles of games as well. Whereas Gatland was more about efficiency, Wayne Pivac is more about being expansive. Whereas with regards to England, as I said, against Ireland 2 weeks ago, they were looking very good again. Their kicking game was good. I don't think they'll try and exploit Wales the same way, because we saw what happened last year in Cardiff when England tried to use their kicking game on the Welsh. The Welsh back three were very efficient and dealt with it superbly that day for the most part. And with Liam Williams back in as well, I think they're going to have a harder time. They might try and use George North's wing a bit. I think they'll see a few kicks going out his way to see how he's doing with Johnny May up against him, and they'll maybe try a few chip kicks in behind to see how George North is coping with them. With Johnny May running at him at top speed, that's going to be a really interesting battle, and George North is going to have to be on his game there. I think England also up front, I think this is where it's going to be won and lost, as majority of rugby games are. It's going to be won and lost in the pack, and who can get on top at the set pieces, who can get on top at the breakdowns, who can be smartest with the ball as well. I think it's going to come down to that. I think Wales will be better than they have been in the past two games, and I think it will be a closer game than probably some anticipate. But I think England will just nick it, and I think they will as well be a bit better than they were against Ireland. They'll be looking to be more clinical, but I think Wales will give them a bit of a harder time in some areas. And at the kicking game, England, as I said, they won't exploit Wales as much as they did against Ireland, so it'll be slightly different, but it'll be very interesting. So that's my thoughts on the game, guys. Hope it's a good game, and obviously hoping this coronavirus goes away soon as well, with the England-Italy game called off next week, and then of course there's possibilities and doubts over the France-Ireland game as well, but we'll see what happens there. Scotland-France tomorrow, of course, so hopefully the coronavirus stuff will will go away in time, and we'll get back to talk about the rugby more. Fingers crossed. So thank you for listening to what I've had to say, guys. Rest in peace again, Matthew Watkins. Thoughts with your family. And take care. Hope it's two great games this weekend, and I'll catch you later on.